Tomorrow, here to break down the budget battle and how soon a deal will be made is Republican Congressman from Indiana, Todd Rokita. He is a member of the House Budget Committee. Congressman, thanks so much for joining us. What did you like about the House plan? What are the strengths?
Well, as a member of the Budget Committee, I've liked what we've been doing the last 3 years, especially under the leadership of Paul Ryan. We've had the courage to be straightforward and honest about what's causing the deficits and debt in this country. And that is our spending, and specifically our spending on what's been called social entitlement programs. And we're honest about reforming those, strengthening them, making sure that they're around for my kids who are 5 and 3 right now, and not bankrupting the country in the process.
Except for that, you're trying to eliminate Obamacare, which you may not like, but is the law of the land now. I mean, is that a non-starter to put out a budget like that?
Well, our whole budget doesn't hinge on whether or not Obamacare exists or not. I mean, it's a comprehensive budget that balances in 10 years and doesn't increase anyone's taxes. That's going to be two important points that the Democrats, I don't think, tomorrow are going to be able to say. I don't think their budget's ever going to balance. When they've ever done one, it hasn't. And from what we're hearing on your station and other stations, they're going to raise taxes to the hilt to try to do it. So that's not really a solution. What we're after is cutting the spending.
But does it balance in 10 years if you don't get rid of Obamacare?
Well, it'll take longer to balance, but even, the point is that we're honest about the spending that needs to be cut and actually the programs that need to be reformed. Obamacare goes the other way, and yes, you're right, Melissa, it is the law, but that doesn't mean you give up on your principles. That doesn't mean you give up on the fight to try to correct the danger that this law, constitutional or not, poses to the future generations of this country, Melissa.
Part of your plan calls for tax reform. It is a two-bracket code. The lower bound bracket is 10%. The language is a little bit fuzzier around the top individual rate, but it's something like 25%. How reasonable do you think it is that something like this would happen, and what would be the end result?
Yeah. Well, I think it's very reasonable, and I think we have, hopefully, some bipartisan camaraderie around this and earnestness around this because of the fact that, it's revenue neutral. All right, we're not asking to take less money from people or more money. We're just simply asking to simplify the code. Most of us can't even fill out a tax return now without having professional help or at least TurboTax to get us through it. And it doesn't have to be that way. It shouldn't have to be that way. If we just do it in a revenue neutral way, and by that just taking no more than 19% or so of GDP, more than enough to run any government, especially this federal government, we're hoping to get some bipartisan support around that.
And there's already talk about, what draconian cuts this budget represents. At the same time, all we're really talking about is slowing the growth in spending. It's not even real cuts. It's just spending more, less quickly.
I think over the 10-year window, we're just slowing growth from around 6% down to 3%. Those are round numbers. But you're right. We're slowing the growth in the 10-year window. But really, again, Melissa, the drivers of our debt are Medicare, Medicaid, our social entitlement programs. That's taking up 2/3 of our spend, and we actually get to reforming those as well, albeit outside the 10-year budget window. But we have that conversation. We get the job done.
How likely do you think it is that Democrats will join you on that? I mean, Debbie Wasserman Schultz was on another liberal network earlier this morning saying that she supports changes to Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security. Do you believe her?
I think that's incredible movement. Well, whether I believe her, that's another question. But before, when we rolled out these budgets, commercials immediately ran showing guys like me and Paul Ryan rolling older people in wheelchairs off cliffs. So we've made tremendous movement with Debbie in this respect already. So I'm looking forward to getting the job done with her.
All right, Congressman, we'll see what happens. Thanks for coming on.